It begins with a message that should mean nothing, a wrong number, a stranger asking if you are someone else. Maybe they apologize. Maybe they make a joke. Maybe they say you seem kind. And most people ignore it. But some reply, not because they are foolish, not because they are desperate, because the message feels harmless. And sometimes it arrives at exactly the wrong moment. Late at night, after a divorce, after retirement, after losing someone, after a long day when being noticed by a stranger does not feel dangerous. It feels nice. For Sarah, it started exactly the way these scams often do, quietly, casually, and with no reason to feel afraid. Sarah was not looking for an investment. She was not searching for cryptocurrency. She was not trying to become rich overnight. She was simply lonely enough to continue a conversation. The stranger seemed polite, successful, thoughtful. He did not immediately ask for money. That is the first thing people misunderstand about this scam. It does not begin with greed. It begins with trust. He asked about her day. He remembered small details. He sent good morning messages. He asked whether she had eaten. He told her stories about his own life, a difficult childhood, a failed relationship, the loneliness of working too much. And slowly, the stranger became familiar. Then familiar became important. Then important became necessary. Sarah began checking her phone before she got out of bed. She began smiling at messages from a man she had never met. And somewhere, possibly thousands of miles away, every detail she shared was becoming valuable. Her loneliness, her work, her savings, her family situation, her fears, her hopes. She thought she was being understood. In reality, she was being studied, because the person behind that profile was not simply flirting. He was building a file, a financial profile, an emotional profile, a map of exactly where she was vulnerable. And he was not inventing this method as he went along. He may have been following a script. In raids on scam compounds in the Philippines, authorities recovered handbooks showing how criminals create fake identities, build emotional dependence, identify financial vulnerability, and guide victims toward fraudulent investments. Reuters reported that one manual laid out an accelerated 7-day plan: make contact, build familiarity, introduce investments, establish emotional attachment, and then move the target toward a fake trading platform. Reuters, 7 days. That is all some of these criminal networks believe they need to turn a stranger into a source of money. But Sarah did not know any of this. To her, it felt natural. The man never sounded pushy. When she asked what he was doing one evening, he casually sent a screenshot, a trading account, numbers climbing in green, a profit that looked larger than Sarah's monthly salary. She laughed and told him she knew nothing about investing. He told her that was okay. He was not asking her to invest. He was simply sharing his life. That was the clever part. He did not sell her an opportunity. He allowed her to become curious. Days later, he mentioned that he had learned trading from a relative with inside knowledge of the market. He said there were moments when ordinary people could make money, but only if they understood timing. Sarah told him she was cautious. He agreed. He told her caution was intelligent. Then he suggested something small. Not her savings, not her pension, not her home, just a small amount. An amount that, if lost, would not destroy her life. She transferred it, and the website showed a profit. Real-looking charts, real-looking balances, real-looking customer support. Her account was growing. She withdrew some money. It worked. A small amount appeared back in her account. That withdrawal changed everything. Because now, in Sarah's mind, it was no longer a risky website introduced by a stranger. It was proof. Proof that he cared. Proof that he knew what he was doing. Proof that the investment was real. But the money she withdrew was not a profit. It was bait. A small payment made to convince her to send much more. The scam operators were not losing money. They were buying her trust. The FBI describes these cryptocurrency investment scams as sophisticated, long-term frauds built around psychological manipulation, the appearance of legitimacy, and fake investment platforms that display false profits. Victims may even be offered loans or persuaded to invest larger amounts before discovering that the displayed earnings do not exist. In 2025, this single fraud category produced more than $7.2 billion in reported losses in the United States alone. Sarah invested again, this time more. The account climbed faster. The man congratulated her. He told her she was smarter than she realized. He began speaking about their future, a vacation together, a home, a life where money was no longer something to worry about. It sounds unbelievable from the outside, but from inside the relationship, nothing happened all at once. There was no single moment where Sarah decided to destroy her life. There were dozens of tiny moments. One message, one promise, one screenshot, one successful withdrawal, one more deposit. That is how the scam works. Not by forcing the victim to leap, by making each next step feel smaller than the last. Then came the opportunity he said might never happen again, a trade with unusually high returns. But to benefit, she would need to deposit more. Sarah hesitated. He did not become angry. He became hurt. He reminded her that he had never asked for anything for himself. He told her he wanted them to succeed together. He said he had already invested his own money into the same opportunity. Then he told her something more powerful than any threat. He told her he believed in her. Sarah transferred money from her savings. Then more. When that was not enough, she borrowed. Her online balance rose into figures she had never imagined owning. Hundreds of thousands, perhaps more. For the first time, she believed she had escaped the fear that quietly follows many people through life. The fear of growing old without enough money. The fear of one medical emergency destroying everything. The fear of needing help and having nobody to call. And then, one afternoon, Sarah decided to withdraw. She wanted to see the money in her real bank account. She logged into the platform. She entered the withdrawal request and waited. A message appeared. Her account had been frozen. To release her funds, she first needed to pay a tax. Sarah contacted the man. He immediately replied. He told her not to panic. He said this was normal. He told her he had experienced the same thing. He even offered to contribute part of the required amount, but she had to pay the rest. That is the moment many victims should realize the truth. But by then, the victim is no longer trying to evaluate an investment. They are trying to rescue their entire life. Sarah was not thinking, should I risk more money? She was thinking, how do I get back everything I already sent? So she paid the fee. Then came another fee. Verification, security clearance, anti-money laundering review, account activation, withdrawal insurance. Each explanation was different, but the demand was always the same. Send more money. Eventually, Sarah had nothing left, and only then did the man change. The good morning messages stopped. The affectionate voice notes disappeared. The man who once asked whether she had eaten suddenly stopped answering at all. The trading website no longer opened. Customer support vanished. The numbers on her screen, the profits, the future, the money she thought she owned, were gone.